Yeah, you got to roll with the punches. Welcome back, everybody, to Hibernian Radio. This is show number 307. My name's Patty Houlihan. I'll be your host all hour. We're joined to you and we're brought to you by Madden Funds, Local 150, Fox's Pizza, and Flood Brothers Disposal. You can find us on Global Irish Radio or at hibernianradio.org. Tonight, we bring a special guest. He's a venture capitalist, a music promoter, and a producer here in Chicago. I've gotten to know him over the last couple years. He has an event on the 15th, Parade Day, downtown. He's here to tell us all about it. Please welcome to the program, Kevin O'Shea. Kevin, how are you?
I'm good, Patty. How are you?
Very good. So I met you about 3 years ago. Obviously we have our own media company here in Hibernian Media. And we kept hearing about this guy who was going all over town here in Chicago and meeting with the local Irish trad groups and bands and acts and booking performances for them. But not only that, inviting them into his home and then going over over on the pond on the other side and meeting more acts and inviting them to come over. And I thought it was quite interesting, especially for a guy who was already had his own wildly successful career as a venture capitalist to all of a sudden kind of ramp down and immerse himself into the Irish American community the way that you have. Let's talk a little bit about what you have a name for the company. It's called Ceol Craic.
It's called Ceol Craic Trasna, dTonnta. Mm-hmm. And that means music and fun over the waves.
All right.
So that's the idea of bringing music and fun over from Ireland to Chicago.
Now, what inspired you to, how many children do you have, Kevin? You've got a big family.
I call it 5 and 10. I got 5 kids and 10 grandkids.
Oh, that's awesome.
And all the kids are married now.
You raise them all out in the western suburbs.
Yep.
And you lost your wife several years back.
She did about 3.5 years ago, yeah.
And I know that you told me that part of your mourning process was immersing yourself into Irish culture and seeing how you could help other people, and that's a bit of your mission.
Yeah.
And what spurred it? Like, how did you decide all of a sudden, hey, did your kids think you were crazy to all of a sudden start inviting Irish musicians that you didn't really know to come stay in your family home and put them up and find them gigs here across the city of Chicago?
Yeah, what spurred it really, I was just sitting at home one day, kind of coming home from work, making dinner, going to bed, and I said, there's no way to live your life.
Right.
So I said, I got to do something different. And I thought about, well, what do I like to do? I like to sit in the bar, listen to Irish music, have a drink,
Yeah.
And so I had to figure out how I could do that as like a hobby.
Yeah.
And now it's turned into, I call it my second shift.
It really is. Yeah. I mean,
so.
You're quite active on social media. You're consistently posting. I see you're a man about town. I mean, at this point, I think in the last couple of years, I would say that every up and coming, especially up and coming, because you've been especially nice and provided mentorship to some of the younger guys on the scene.
Yeah.
And enabling them, and you're everywhere. And I'm like, man, this guy lives a cooler lifestyle than I do. Or than
I'm only in the Irish bars.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. I got to spread my wings a little bit.
But you're everywhere, and so I'm so glad that you're on the program tonight. Where did you grow up originally? You're from Chicago, right?
Yeah, from Chicago. Grew up on 63rd and Western in the shadow of St. Rita High School.
Okay.
Back when Billy Merrick and Dennis Slick
were the football stars?
They were winning their best team in America. With Pat Cronin was the coach.
Sure.
He lived across the street from us. And so grew up in the shadow of St. Rita. Then we moved out to St. Rene Parish, which is out on the west side of 63rd Street.
Yep,
so
midway.
kind of all along 63rd Street.
Right.
My mom's one of 14, so we had a bunch of cousins and aunts and uncles, most around 63rd Street.
Were your parents from the States, or were they from Ireland?
Actually, my mother was from Balmullet, and so
Okay.
that's why I've gone to Ireland so many times. And I've got an uncle that lived right next door, to my family home in Balmullet.
Yeah.
And now my mom has the family home. And so, we go, I don't know how many times I've been, like 10 or 15 times the last 3 or 4 years.
Is your mother still with us?
Yeah, she is.
Oh, that's why. How old is she?
My mom's 85.
Shout out to her.
She's getting ready to get a new hip.
Okay.
So she wants to keep dancing.
Yep.
And actually, I'm taking her out on Sunday. We're going to go to Chief O'Neill's.
Great spot.
For the music and the brunch and all that kind
Absolutely.
of stuff. Yeah.
Now, how many brothers and sisters did you have growing up?
I'm the oldest of 7.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And are they as invigorated and inspired by Irish culture as you?
No. No, my one sister is actually. She likes to go to Ireland. She'll take my mom to Ireland and stay with her, where I take my mom and drop her off, and then I come back,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they all like it. They've all been to Ireland, and they all enjoy it. But nobody's kind of crazy like me.
Well, as a kid, did your parents take you guys over to Ireland? Or was it something that you experienced
No,
later
it's
in
not
life?
something we could afford.
Yeah.
The first time I really went was like when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
I went with my aunt, my cousins, and met my grandparents.
Oh, that's cool.
It was like 1973, and they just got electricity.
Wow.
Didn't have running water. You had to walk down and stick a bucket under the well to let the water run down, which is, it was very interesting.
Sure. And so that must have planted a seed in your heart that said, this is a very dear place to me, and I'm going to make this, somehow I'm going to make this part of my life a mission.
Eventually, my mom ended up inheriting the property, so now I get the privilege of paying for everything. So it's worked out.
All right, so you went to Rita for a minute, and then where'd you go to college?
Then I went to college to Illinois Benedictine College.
Oh, yeah, out here in Lisle in Illinois here.
Yeah,
Yep.
IBC.
Yep.
And a lot of Southsiders went there.
Absolutely.
And played football for a couple of years. Then I got married in my junior year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
was your bride from the area?
I met my wife in college when we were freshmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was she Irish?
Yeah, she was more Irish than me.
Really?
Although her parents, she was, we did the 23andMe.
You did? All right.
She'd always give me crap like, that she's 98% Irish and I was only 95. I got a little Viking in there somewhere.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about, obviously you're a venture capitalist. You've been in that game for a number of years. Mm-hmm. But obviously your first love is obviously with music and the arts. At least that's what I'm starting to realize more and more about you, is that you're constantly putting yourself out there and promoting and offering fundraisers to help the diaspora. What was it that all of a sudden made you say, was there a specific friend in the arts or someone in the music scene that you decided?
Yeah, Kieran Byrne was just kind of like, again, I didn't know where to start. So the only guy I really knew in Irish music was Kieran Byrne.
Okay.
Because we had, my daughter had hired him and Regina Coyle to come and play at my house.
Okay.
During COVID.
All right. All right.
My daughter built this really cool, bar on our driveway. It took us 3 weeks to build. And then the day after, I burned it all down. But we had a wonderful party for her birthday.
Yeah.
And it looked like an Irish pub. We had chimney, we had a bar,
oh,
we had all kinds of stuff.
Oh, you went all
rugs, I mean, you would name it, yeah. So she's an interior designer, so she had access to all that stuff.
Sure.
But it was a really cool time, and we hired Kieran and Regina to do music. We went to about 3 a.m. It was a lot of fun. And then, and so I didn't really know anybody, so I just kind of saw where Kieran was playing. I'd show up, hang out with him, get to know him a little bit. And then just one day I was like, hey, Kieran, why don't we get some of your guys, if they want to stay with me, they can stay with me, because I got this big house. I live by myself, and it's it'd be fun to have guys hanging around playing music,
Sure.
So that's kind of how we got it started. And then what happened was, Kieran said, oh, that's a great idea. I'd love to do that. So I talked to all my lads, and he said, they're all too busy playing music in Ireland. They don't want to come to the United States. You can't make any money at it.
Yeah.
So there was a funny story. There's one lady in that I had seen in Australia, probably 3 or 4 years earlier. Mm-hmm. And I was in Sydney for one day, and I stumbled into this Irish bar. And I got in there right as they were starting. It's called Blackwater. And this lady was the best Irish singer I ever saw. Mm-hmm. So I called a guy in Australia, and I said, hey, what would you think about coming to Chicago, playing some of your music? And he's like, I have no interest. Mm-hmm. I said, well, what about that girl that was there? She said, well, she went back to Ireland. So,
oh, all right. Yeah,
it was crazy. So I tracked her down on Facebook. I sent her a note. I said, look, you don't know me.
But I was there that night.
I saw you 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought you were great, and I want to do something. I said, if you send me your number.
Kevin, every artist dreams of having this happen to them.
So anyway, she sends me a number, and I was like, okay. So then eventually she was the first one that came out. She came out September, maybe 2 years ago.
Sure.
I can't remember. And then she came back again for St. Patrick's. She stayed 9 days.
Yeah.
But I really give her credit for getting this whole thing going because...
What's her name?
She was so good, Suzanne Toomey.
Okay.
And she was so good that I just knew, like, anywhere she would go, that everybody would love her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep.
And like some of these guys, because nobody knew who I was. They come in and I said, "Who are you? What are you doing?" I says,
"Yeah,
look, if you don't like this lady," I says, "you don't have to pay for her." And they're okay.
Right.
And everybody liked her. Some people even paid more.
That's awesome.
Because that was my deal. I said, if you really like her, though, I want you to pay her more.
Sure.
You know, and that's the other thing. I don't do it, I don't get paid. I don't make any money at all this stuff. I went out, I bought the equipment, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of like my contribution to it. That's why I set it up as a nonprofit.
Got it. And repeat the name of it again for me.
Ceol Craic Trasna.
And any Irish musicians that are listening, can they go to a website and find you?
No, I only do it through Facebook.
Okay.
And I've been banned from Instagram for some reason. I can't get in from Instagram.
Okay.
And I don't know how to use TikTok. So anyway, it's like I stay on Facebook, even though it's kind of like old school,
Well, I love the idea. So you start bringing these acts in, but now you have to go out and meet the other bar owners and venue owners here in Chicago who can be a cantankerous bunch and sell them on the idea that you're
just cheap.
You're a Yank who saw somebody that you think is great and you think they deserve to be here.
Yeah, they're cheap because, it's a tough business that they're in. I get it. So I push for my people, you know what I mean? But what I really do like is I got a number of young people, and the young people, they talk amongst themselves.
Absolutely.
So I got a kid coming from Dubai because he's playing with another guy in Dubai that knows me.
Yeah.
And there's a whole slew of these young kids that all know me in Europe now, and they want to come to Chicago.
And they're not exclusively playing like Irish trad music. Some of them are rock and roll singers, correct?
No. So far, they're all playing
folk, traditional.
Well, like Rachel now, young Rachel plays other stuff.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think of them as Irish singers, but they can play whatever they want,
Now, how often do you get over to Ireland to meet some of these people?
Well, that's what I did. I was telling you about my trip, and last August I spent a month walking through Ireland.
Which is a phenomenal story.
And I probably met like 5 or 6 musicians, and I always give them my card, and I said, if you want to come to Chicago, give me a call, we'll take care of you,
Now, you decided to walk Ireland as opposed to go on a tour with a bus and a bunch of other Yanks who typically do that run around. Like we have a trip with Hibernian Media that we promote every year.
Yeah.
I like your style. You say, no, I'm going to foot it. I'm going to go from, now what was your route? You brought a backpack and a tent, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So that was, and I had no car and I had no reservations. So I started in, I mean, we could
have shot this as a TV series, as a reality TV series.
Yeah. So I started in Dublin, and then I went up to the Giant's Causeway, just kind of walking up through Dundalk and, all these places. You know, and I met characters in every bar I was in. You know? And it was a lot of fun. And I always made sure every night that I got to a bar, I got good food, and I got a place to sleep. Right. Only twice I had to sleep in the tent.
So would it typically you would get an Airbnb, or you just meet somebody at the bar that'd be like, yeah, you can crash on my couch, or I got a room over here.
Yeah, I had a few people take me home. A few people took me home. They said, you're not staying at B&B. Come home with us, And then most of the times people in the bar would find a B&B for me.
Really?
Because they all know the people that have them.
In town.
Right. And when you're in a bar, you're talking to 3 or 4 people at once if you're saying, I don't have a room. So everybody pulls out their phone and they start, calling their friends.
Well, especially in Ireland, because you're walking into a lot of these towny bars. Yeah, they know everybody walking in that door. They see you, you're a stranger.
Yeah.
They're like, and you're on foot. They're wondering what the hell has brought you there, and what you're doing.
I have a big American Eagle shirt that I wear.
Oh, do you really? Oh, that's the best. Yeah. Like, I'm a Yank. I don't care.
That's right.
And they just go right. They probably love that you're so forward about it.
They love it. They love it. And they always want to know, what do you think of Trump?
Of course. Of course. And so how many days were you walking?
I walked 21 days.
Okay.
And then I got to Belmullet, which is my mom's hometown.
And that was your final spot?
Yeah, and then I kind of hung around for 7 days in Belmullet and
Yeah.
did a little recovery, you know what I mean?
Sure, a little, R&R.
Yeah, a little R&R.
How many, when you're on foot, how many acts were you actively, was that part of your mission? Like, let me find some new acts and kind of hustle?
No, I was really just kind of like, it's tiring. So, it was hot. It just happened to be hot.
Yeah.
So I was just looking for a bar, you know? You walk 4 or 6 hours with a pack on, you're like, okay, there's a bar. I'm going in there. But then when if I get to the town, I'd always say, where's the live music?
Sure.
And then I would go, and sometimes it wasn't very good. Most of the time it was great.
Yeah, yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about your upcoming event, the Irish Village, which will happen here over St. Patrick's Day weekend on March 15th. There was a nice article in the Irish American News here in Chicago recently promoting the event.
Okay.
Let's talk about, what is it? What are we doing?
Yeah, so this started, there's a guy named Joe McKittrick that I think a lot of people know. He's part of the Irish.
I know Joe.
Oh, you know Joe.
I tended bar with Joe for Billy Lawless at the Gauge before he was a banker.
Oh, there you go.
Joe's a wonderful guy. Hi, Joe.
When he used to be respectable. Now he's a banker.
No. Yeah, well, okay.
So anyway, it was really Joe's idea. He said, it'd be nice how they do this Kinder Market. For Christmas.
Right. And that's in Daly Plaza?
If the Irish community did something for St. Patrick's Day. Mm-hmm. And so I said, yeah, it's an interesting idea. He said, well, would you help me do it? I said, yeah, I got nothing to do. I'll help you do it, So
yeah.
It just so happened I used to work in this building, 401 North Michigan.
Okay.
So I knew the area real well, right? Because I worked there for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And I called one of my friends in real estate. I said, who's leasing out that building? I want to talk to him. So he introduced me.
Right.
And I met a young lady. Her name's Ashley Duffy. She runs the events for
that was a stroke of luck.
The company. Yeah, she's an Irish girl.
Yeah.
She's having a baby. Beautiful young lady. She's having a baby very soon. So I wish
congrats.
her well. But anyway, she was very excited, and she's like, the Irish consulate's actually moving into this building.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
So I was kind of like, okay, the Irish consulate's moving in there. They got a big plaza.
Yeah.
And it's right on the river when they're dyeing the river green. So I said, this would be perfect. So Ashley and her cohort, Donna, have been very helpful to us. And, they basically said, look, we'll work with you guys. We'll help you figure it out because it's our first time figuring it out. There's a restaurant in the building. The guys have really been great. They said, we'll cook the food for you. We'll give you labor to cook the food so you don't got to cook it outside.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how it went. And then what we've been doing, we've been soliciting people to sell their goods there. Right. So, and we're just thinking Irish bread, tea, all kinds of stuff Irish, but no alcohol. Right, because we don't want to. Maybe we'll get alcohol later. Yeah, and we're talking to Guinness about sampling their Guinness NA there.
Sure, the 0. Yep.
But Guinness is very hard to work with. So
that's the Diageo people.
Yeah, I don't know who they are, but they've been very hard to work with, and I got a very short fuse for that kind of stuff. But Kerry Gold's been good to work with, and Bailey's have been good to work with. So there's some people doing a good job. Yeah. But anyway, so those are the big names. But then we want to get other people that are selling like Irish sweaters. Mm-hmm. I'm going to sell T-shirts just because nobody else wants to sell T-shirts. So I'm going to print some T-shirts and sell those. And all the money goes to the Gaelic Park charities. Yes. So Gaelic Park's going to come down, and they're going to actually cook the food and sell the food, and then they get to keep all the proceeds.
That's cool. I like that.
Everybody, I think we've...
So is there an entry fee to get into the...
No, there's no entry fee. We just,
So do the vendors, they're donating their proceeds to Gaelic Park as well?
No, what they're doing is they're buying a booth from us.
Okay.
And that covers the cost of everything. Okay. Right? And then basically... we expect them to do very, very well. So when they do very well, we're going to ask them, would you make a donation to Gaelic Park Charities?
I see.
Now, Gaelic Park's going to sell the food. So they're going to sell a ton of food. Mm-hmm. And so they're just going to keep that money, and that'll go, they'll be very profitable that day. and they'll donate that to their own charitable organization.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I read something today, and this is a wild number. $6 billion a year is spent on St. Patrick's Day alone.
Is that right?
$6 billion.
Yeah.
It's a big market.
Yeah.
So let's hope that you guys can get some of that to help the people out in Gaelic Park.
Well, I've been down there a couple times. Normally I don't go because I don't like crowds, but it's like I've been down there a couple times. Like, you can't move down there.
Yeah. Well, I think it's smart that, even that you guys, it sounds like a family-friendly event.
Very family-friendly.
And
we're emphasizing family-friendly.
Well, that's extremely wise because as the parade has grown throughout the years, it's become a bit of, a clown show.
Right.
With a lot of, with all the drinking and goofing off and tomfoolery that occurs. But it used to be a much safer environment for families, and that is kind of fallen by. There's not enough events like this going on for young people and especially families with young kids to go and celebrate their heritage and learn a little bit.
Well, you saw in what I put in that thing in the Irish American News.
Yeah.
I said there's no alcohol at this event, and I said any rowdiness will not be tolerated.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have security guys there, along with a couple of guys from the south side, and we'll make sure that you keep moving if you're gonna not do the right things.
Sure.
But I also want to say there's also going to be a couple other people. The Rose of Tralee will be there.
Yep.
I didn't arrange that, so I'm not quite sure who she is.
Yes.
But and then there's going to be some dignitary from Ireland because the consulate's holding something.
Right.
So I don't know who the dignitary is. I don't know if she's a big dignitary, small dignitary, good-looking dignitary. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, you never know who's going to appear. That's part of the fun of having an event like this.
That's right. Yeah.
And now, are you actively seeking vendors at this point?
That's the biggest thing right now is I thought people would jump at this, right? Because how many times can you sell your stuff to 100,000 people, right? And hardly really just kind of pay by making a donation.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of them are busy. They don't want the hassle. So we're trying to set out the word. It's like, look, we still got some spots available.
Yeah.
And, we'll work with anybody, but we want to, like Donegal Imports just called me today. Now they want to get a spot.
Right.
So they're going to do well. Colleen's Irish Bread is going to be there. Gary Gold's going to be there. So we'll have enough. And plus we're going to have music, the Dirty Wellies.
Yep.
So Dirty Wellies are going to start off.
So there's a stage.
There's going to be a stage, and Dirty Wellies will start off. We're going to have Trinity Irish Dancers, I think. I think it's Trinity. I'm not sure of the Irish Dancers. Don't hold me to that.
All right.
I don't want to, but
we'll just call it Irish Dancers.
There are Irish dancers, yeah.
Yes.
And then we're going to have Rachel and Tom Mulvey. Rachel Walsh and Tom Mulvey are going to play for a couple hours. And then a fella visiting me from Swinford, Porrig McNeely, he'll play.
Good name.
He's a very good guy, long established singer, good singer, nice man.
Now, I get it what you mean by as far as like finding vendors, especially with the rise of e-commerce. There's not as many Irish import shops as there were when we were growing up.
There's not.
So it's like, where are all the people that are, but they're still selling it. It's still out there. The goods are still available. It's like, how do we get them out here to because they've abandoned brick and mortar. But this is the day. I mean, that's the day. That's the cash cow day for the year for everybody to get down there, where you actually get to sell to people that aren't crabby and Irish. What do you envision the Irish Village becoming? Do you think it could be a tradition here in Chicago?
Yeah, I think especially since the consulate's in the building, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is our first year. We kind of got a slow start on it because, we had Thanksgiving and the holidays, and we just really didn't get through it very quick. So I really think we could do this every year and it get better and better.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that we reached out to. They said, if you would have contacted me earlier, I would have done it, but I'm already booked.
Sure.
And then the north side, they're doing the fest over at Irish American Heritage Center. So there's a bit of a not really a conflict because they're way out northwest.
Yeah.
But
is it the same day?
It's the same day. So if you're a vendor,
yes,
you might already, if they're close on the north side, they're not going to come downtown.
Well, what is the window of operation, the hours that the village will be open?
Between 10 and 4.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a short window.
Yeah.
It's really meant to be, while they're doing the dyeing and after the dyeing.
Right.
And then
people
just a lot of people mill around down there. There's so many people.
Sure. Excellent. And then are you going to have a booth for yourself where you're going to be?
Yeah, I'm going to have a booth for Ceol. We're going to do Ceol Craic Trasna and dTonnta, and we'll sell T-shirts.
Yeah.
And we'll sell, some other stuff. And anybody, if they want me to sell their stuff,
Yeah.
they'll just say like, here, they'll sell it to me for $5 and I'll sell it for 10 or something.
Sure.
And we'll give the money to Gaelic Park.
Oh, it's awesome. Well, I hope everybody that's listening to this decides to bring their family down there and say hello to Kevin.
And if anybody wants to volunteer,
yeah,
let me give you my number. Give me my number. If anybody wants to volunteer, we need volunteers.
Sure.
So my number is 630-865-7137, and we won't make you work too hard.
Yeah.
You'll have fun.
You'll get some food.
I'll buy you a drink
at
the end of it.
Some food and drink. Good.
Not during, but at the end. When the work's done, I'll take you out for a drink.
Now, after you're still active in your venture capitalist career, as aside from doing all this work with the diaspora. I'm curious to know that in your work with meeting all these new artists, and do you ever catch any flack from the people from Ireland? Sometimes, we have an Irish media company. We produce these podcasts and radio shows. That I do sense a bit of a divide sometimes between traditional Irish media and Irish American media. And I'm curious to know if you've encountered any sort of, typically the Irish are extremely welcoming when someone approaches them and says, hey, I want you to, will you come play here or whatnot? But what has your experience been like while launching that platform? Has there been any pushback or what do you think? What do you think, if there is a disconnect, what it is?
No, I think, to me at least, and maybe I just don't see it, but all the people, whether it's the musicians that I know, and I know a lot of musicians now through this, even though they don't have anything to do with me, I just see them because I go to the shows and I talk to them afterwards and things. But everybody's just been so nice to me,
Well, that's good.
And everybody wants to help. And somebody called me the other day. They said, oh, there's a big group in Ireland. They want to come through Chicago. Can they stay with you? I said, oh, yeah, no problem. No, they didn't call me.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it works, It's just like, so everybody's been really, really nice, really welcoming. And like when I go to Ireland now, too, I'm going in April to play golf,
Yeah.
And some guys are like, no, you're staying with us. No, we got a hotel. No, you got to stay with us. Cancel the hotel. It's like, they're just very, very, they always want to give back,
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, and one of the guys that stay with me, we're going to go visit him in August, and we're going to go down to the Fleadh in Wexford. Mm-hmm. I've never been to a Fleadh, and I heard it's really awesome. So why not,
No, absolutely. I mean, I think it's fun that it's rare that a lot of Irish Americans decide to become so immersed in their culture versus Irish people that are immersed in their own. I feel like there's a lot of the nationalism of Ireland has dissipated quite a bit in the last 30 years, where they're kind of trying to get away from being Irish. Where I find I find the reverse happens here as people age. Right, the older people get, the closer they want to get to their heritage, and they all go back to Ireland, and then Saturday Night Live does sketches and roasts us for it. But I was curious to know if that had been your experience at all, where you walk into these bars and you're like, hey, I'm Kevin O'Shea from Chicago, and I'm a music promoter, and I think you're the next, Van Morrison,
No. All the kids in Ireland, they want to come.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll come at the heartbeat, but they all have jobs, and, they can't just jump on a plane like you can when you're older,
Sure.
So that's good. But, one of the guys, a good friend of mine now, is Derek Warfield.
Sure.
And Derek, if you ever saw Derek, he's all about Irish. He's more of a historian than a musician, even though he's a musician for 60 years.
Yeah.
He's really a historian.
He's a Shawnee.
And I went to his house, and he's got like all these books from like the 1200s, the 1300s. He knows all the stuff that's even in them.
Yeah.
And he's a really amazing guy. But, I'm really impressed how all the young kids, they're very into the independence movement and all that kind of stuff back, like the 1920s when my grandpa was involved in it and all that kind of stuff. And I grew up as an American. I was American as could be. I could give a crap about Ireland. It's like, even though all my family was from there,
yes,
I was American. But then it's only after going there a number of times. And now with the music, then I'm starting to become a lot more connected to it, and understanding, like, the whole thing with Bobby Sands and those guys in the 1980s.
Yeah,
I had 3 kids in diapers, and I had 3 jobs, so I wouldn't pay attention.
You were very removed from it.
I wasn't paying attention to any of that stuff.
Sure.
And so now I understand it a lot better, and I don't like the British maybe as much as I used to.
Me neither. Well, what do you feel, obviously it started as a bit of a hobby. What do you think the future holds for your organization? What would you like to see happen?
Oh, I like what we're doing now. It's kind of like my house is, generally available.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to come, the doors are open, and I've got people that visit me all the time now is wonderful. And anybody who visits, they always want me to visit them in Ireland. And so it's kind of nice, and there's more coming, and especially the younger kids.
Yeah.
Like a couple of the guys I know, they're in Dubai.
Yeah.
And I got to travel for business to Asia, so I'm trying to figure out now, if I go to Asia, can I stop in Dubai and hang out with these guys for a couple nights? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's really made my life kind of much more interesting to me, at least. You know what I mean?
I think it's phenomenal. I really do. Well, the Irish Village, March 15th. Billy, how we doing on time? We good? 5 minutes. Oh, okay, good. Tell me a little bit. Well, the Irish Village is going to be the 15th.
Yep, 15th. It started 10 in the morning. Really, people go down to watch the river get dyed.
Yeah.
And when the river gets dyed, stop in, get some Irish bread. We're going to have some hot tea there. No alcoholic, but we will have great music.
Sure.
Dirty Wellies. Everybody loves the Dirty Wellies.
Yeah. And how are you guys going to police people that are going to be sneaking booze in? There's not much you can do.
We're required to have security.
Yeah.
And like I say, we'll have a few, big ugly old guys like me that make sure that nobody's messing around.
Has the city been compliant with you and welcoming to an event like this?
I sent in the application for the city. I'm a little bit late.
Yeah.
My fault, and we'll see is the answer.
Okay.
So if there's anybody in the city that can make some stuff happen for us, make it happen. Well, we know guys in the city.
We know a few.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm hyped up. Tell me a little bit about your life as a grandfather. You got how many grandkids?
Oh, yeah, I got 10 grandchildren. The youngest are 3 years old. The oldest is just turned 14. So it's really wonderful. I got a bunch of young boys that are, 10, 9, 8, 7,
Are they interested in their Irish heritage the way that you are?
No, but they actually got interested in playing piano because I started to learn to play the piano.
Recently?
Yeah. I bought this keyboard and I thought, well, I might as well learn it,
Yeah.
So I try to play the piano, but that got them going. Now they're way better than me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I kind of like that. And my one grandson, who's probably the best at the piano, he likes Metallica. So I found.
Can you play Metallica on the piano? I suppose you can.
No,
play anything.
but I found this song. What was it that was played by Metallica? Oh shoot, I can't remember. It was an Irish song.
Oh, it's Whiskey in the. They covered
Whiskey in the Jar. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sent it to him. Yeah, and he loved it. Yeah. So now I think he's going to learn to play Whiskey in the Jar by Metallica on the piano.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's more advanced than me, so he can do that. No, but the grandkids are great. And
they're all close? They all live close by?
My one daughter lives in St. Louis, so
okay.
We don't see them as much. But the other ones all live in Elmhurst, where I live, which is great. I've been in Elmhurst for 40 years. When you bring
in our acts to come and stay, do you invite the family over to meet the acts too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, one time we had a great time. We had Derek Warfield, and the group was in. So that's, I don't know how many people it is, 6 people maybe. And then I invited Siobhan to do her radio show at
Siobhan
the house,
O'Connor, yeah.
at my house.
Uh-huh.
So she came over, and her husband and her son. And then Jimmy Keene came, Pauline Keneally came.
Oh, yeah.
Brendan Lowry came,
Yep.
Kyle Chambers.
Yep.
So we had all these people sitting in the kitchen playing
Oh,
music.
great track
It was
players.
awesome.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. So, hopefully we'll do that again with some of the groups when they come in.
Now, have any of the groups that you've brought in gone sideways on you and gone rogue?
No.
No?
No.
That's shocking.
No.
That's shocking. Because I feel like that's what would happen to me. That's the plot thickens. I invite some Irish crazy people into the house, and then kaboom.
There have been the one or two times we've been playing music at 5 a.m. and I'd be like, guys, I've got to go to sleep. And then they get mad at me for snoring because I'm ruining their music.
Oh, yeah.
So that's about the extent of it, though. But no, it's been really, just honestly, it's been a lot of fun.
Now, if you've been in Elmhurst for 40 years, obviously your neighbors know what you're up to.
Oh, yeah.
And
They tolerate me.
I was just going to say that. Do you guys have, when you have parties in the backyard and you invite them over to come and enjoy the music with
course.
you? Yeah.
That's how you
get
along with your neighbors.
That's absolutely right, how you build the community.
No, the neighbors are great, and they're very helpful. And in fact, my daughter got married in October. We had the wedding at my house, so we had a
nice
shebang.
And did you bring in any special acts that were close and dear to your heart to play the wedding?
No, she got dueling pianos. Yeah. So and we took over the kind of the alley and the neighbor behind us driveways. So I mean, it was huge. And the music, and all the neighbors just like, yeah, we just kept the windows open. It was great,
Well, Kevin, I've enjoyed our talk. Tell us once more about the Irish Village. It's March 15th.
March 15th, when they're dyeing the river at the end of the parade, we're going to be at 401 North Michigan. That's just east of Michigan Avenue and just north of the river. And it's going to be an Irish Village. So we're going to have Bailey's will be giving out some samples. Hopefully we get Guinness to give some samples of their NA beer.
Sure.
We're going to have food there. Gaelic Park's going to be serving some food. And we're going to have people selling T-shirts. I'll be selling T-shirts. And we're going to have people selling Irish bread, just different
knickknacks, sweaters.
I think some sweaters. I don't know if maybe we get somebody with some jewelry,
yeah.
But also food too. Like I'm going to order a truckload of potatoes.
Yeah,
potatoes is perfect food on St. Patrick's Day, right?
It's walking food.
Goes very good with beer.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's
our
first year doing it.
Yep.
And
Irish Village, year one.
Yeah, year one. Yeah. We'll look back on this and say, remember we were doing it the first year?
Absolutely.
That was crazy.
It could turn into a big thing. It really could.
Yeah.
And for anybody listening that's interested in being a vendor, what's your number again?
My number, 630-865-7137.
Cool. Kevin, I've enjoyed talking to you.
All right. Thank you, Patty.
We'll be back at Hibernian Radio after these.